949newsnow.com.
All right, again, we're back 36 after the hour of 8 o'clock, 94.9 News Now, and Stimulating Talk. Our phone number is 860-464-9490 from Long Island. It's 631-317-1949. In the studio with me right now from Hook Magazine, the editor-in-chief, Ian Thomas, and he's brought along maybe the brains behind the operation. That's the best way I can say. But you brought Jen with you. Tell me a little bit of how you guys got together and who's here.
I'd like to introduce Jen Chiappone.
Pretty close.
Yeah, it's a lot of vowels.
It takes about 20 times, I think, before you get it the right way.
Yeah. She is our PR director.
Yep.
And she's been consulting with us for over a month now?
Couple
months now, yeah. Yeah, just helping us kind of get the magazine framed up correctly and marketed in a fashion that is palatable and, in a format that, appeals across, that basically fits the aesthetic of what people would expect a magazine to look like.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's good. I know she's an excellent worker, and I'm certainly it's going to be totally in your favor to have her on your team. So I think it's going to be great. And
it's already been an
asset,
a great asset.
I'm sure. Now, listen, we'll talk more about the magazine as we move and what you're actually doing with the magazine. But I've had people on hold forever, so if you don't mind, we'll take a couple of phone calls, and we'll first go out to Mike, who's calling from Long Island. Mike, good morning. You're on with Ian. You're on with Jen and Hook Magazine. How are you?
Good morning, Lee. Just wanted to make a brief comment in the whole charade of Obamacare.
Sure.
I experienced something yesterday when I went to my doctor. I have my own health insurance that we buy into through an employer. I had to fill out a form that questioned who I was, how old I was, how tall I was, how much I weighed, did I smoke, how long I smoked, do I still smoke, and how long did I quit? How many times did it take me to quit? And then I asked the doctor, I said, right on top of the form, it said, due to the Affordable Health Care Act, the information is being provided. So I said, asked them what this was all about. And it was they were taking information, putting it into a database. This whole thing is about control and gathering information. We are losing our freedoms. We are losing our privacy. I'd have nothing to do with Obamacare. We have our own health insurance, but yet I had to fill out a form. Boy, oh boy, this country is in deep trouble.
Well, Mike, listen.
I have a few more doctors to go to also.
What did your doctor say about that? I mean, why did your doctor say he was doing that? I haven't heard that before.
He's spinning his wheels.
All right.
Spinning his wheels. He said there's so much paperwork involved, so much information that they have to gather.
Right.
He said his colleagues have even more intensive questions, that he tried to reduce his at a minimal because he felt it was too invasive, too much information.
Mike, listen, I appreciate your call. I want these guys in the studio to comment on that, and we're going to try to grab as many phone calls as we can with the time we have left. Any thoughts?
Well, as far as Obamacare goes, from my perspective, speaking personally, of course, not for the publication, it seems to me to be I think it was a failed mission in the beginning. The way the act was written was, it didn't really solve the problem at hand, which, as far as government collecting information, that's been going on for generations now. They've just increased the technology and the sophistication by which they extract this information. Privacy, we live in an age where privacy is an antiquated notion. We just have to deal with a new reality of how do you draw the line? How do you keep government accountable for its actions? We often forget that we are the government. We should be the government. The government should be paying heed to what the will of the people is.
Well, you said in the beginning of this, and Jen, feel free to comment if you have anything you want to say. I don't know if you took part in Obamacare yet or anything like that, but you mentioned that it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Right.
And your estimation didn't go far enough, right?
Yeah, well, my feeling was, I've always had deep misgivings about why health benefits need to bind us to employers. I think that gives an unfair advantage to employers in the whole, the labor negotiations. It puts a huge amount of dependence. It creates a dependence from the employee to the employer, and limits job flexibility and ability to really market yourself. I think that it's long overdue for us to figure out a way to use this society that we have to create a system that is accountable and low cost, and that covers everybody.
I definitely think that the employees are taking a hit too, even though insurance is provided through an employer. A family of 4, your paycheck is reduced sometimes by a third. So, I have someone who is a good friend. She's on disability right now. It's costing her $400 or $500 a week just to keep up, because she's not active in work, and she's got to maintain the insurance in order to continue to go to the doctor in order to receive disability. Like, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Who can afford that? I mean, she's a single mom too. She put 7-8 years into this company, and this is what she's getting in return for her getting hurt at work.
All right, let's head out to Waterford. Bring on Wally. Wally, what's on your mind today?
Good morning, Lee. I wasn't going to talk about health care, so if you want me to hang up, I will.
No, whatever you got. It's all up for grabs.
Okay, listen. You missed a good meeting last night with the ACLU. Rob Simmons took control of the whole meeting, and everybody was in awe of him with all the facts and figures that he had.
Okay, he's great.
It did get really exciting for me later on when I asked a question, because they refused to answer the question and let the members of the ACLU and Rob make any comments on it. My question was, when the government uses government organizations to suppress the vote, what would the ACLU do, and why didn't they do something about it when the IRS was going after people? And they shut me completely off. They said that had nothing to do with security. I felt that security was involved when you have a government organization suppressing the vote, and I couldn't get to say anything else, and I had to keep my mouth shut and sit back.
Wally, real quick, how many people were on that panel last night?
There was three people and one moderator. The moderator shut me off. Didn't like my question at all.
They didn't. Did they talk? We were just talking about something similar to something you guys were talking about, and about overreach from the government spying NSA. Did they get into that a lot last night?
That's what it was about.
Yeah.
The government overreaching, and I feel the question I had was the government overreaching, but the moderator refused to allow me to people for them to answer that question.
Well, let me ask both the folks I have here in the studio about that, and I appreciate your call today again. Ian, you mentioned it before. I mean, what's too much? I mean, is reading your emails too much? Is knowing who your friends are too much? Where is the
preemptive gathering of data is too much. It's already gone too far.
It's already too far.
Oh yeah, it's been too far since George W. Bush was president.
You know what's fascinating about technology, and I don't know if you notice this, Jen, when you're searching online and stuff like this, and sometimes people don't even notice it, but if you click on a website somewhere along the line, and then you're reading your email, and then all of a sudden that ad continues to pop up.
Yeah.
Like, why is there this ad for like a tractor or something like that continuing to pop up?
Yeah.
Because one time in the past you clicked on that. That's how sophisticated it is now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, they can track you. That's one of the tools that they sell, is being able to target you as a consumer, as in a location.
Right.
As somebody who's in marketing and in public relations and trying to get notice for different products, that's one of the big sells, is being able to pull in a certain audience.
Ian Thomas and Jen Ciappone from Hook Magazine, sorry, are here. I did it again. Are here with me in the studio. We're going to go back out to Long Island. We'll take a couple more phone calls before we take a break, and we're going to go find out what's on Ferris's mind this morning. Ferris, good morning.
Same to you, Lee. I'm spending my day off here in Newtown, Connecticut this morning. And
Twice in a row. You were there yesterday, too, you said.
Yes, well, there's a lot to be learned here, and I'm drilling down pretty deeply. But I did want to wish well to the folks behind Hook Magazine.
Thank
I
you.
don't know if
Thank
you've
you.
taken the time to spell it yet on the air. Is it H-U-K?
Yeah, HUK with umlauts over the U. So the little dots. We
I love the German stuff. We can accept umlauts. You don't have to assume that we're dumbed down and tell them there's two little dots. So we know umlauts, but that magazine will succeed terrifically. I want you to consider a regular column on what happens on News Talk Radio throughout the week. You're going to publish it quarterly and then go to monthly. I'll tell you it'll become a weekly if you have a column called the Ferris Wheel. And in that column, we comment on what's being said and done on News Talk Radio, which is a phenomenon across the country.
Sure.
Are
That
you
sounds
throwing
great.
your hat in there?
Yeah. Are you? So you're offering your services? Am I correct?
Exactly, I am.
Yeah.
You can reach me at 877-521-1553, and any listeners can reach me at the same number, 877-521-1553. But I think your Hoop magazine will do real well if you start with those kind of features.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you think? Can we talk about it back and forth for a while, for a minute?
Sure.
Yeah. we could have that discussion off the air. I think I'll give you a call. Most definitely. I'm very keen. That's exactly what I'm looking to do with the commentary section of this magazine is capture the
people are,
conversation.
They're starving for the truth, and if you give them the truth, they're going to beat a path to your door. They're going to put money in your cash register. The young lady, I heard the chick a minute ago, she mentioned, how about buying advertising? So you got the right kind of an ethnic person to raise money. I didn't get her last name, but I could guess about her ethnicity.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. First, we'll let you have your day. There it is. You can send your resume where it needs to be sent. And I think Jen would probably rather prefer you not call her a chick, but that's who knows. Let's go
I've been
out.
called worse. It's okay.
Let's go to Montville and bring on the one and only Frank. Frank, good morning.
Good morning. I'm sure you know about this, Lee, but I'd like to ask their opinion. I'm going to slow down when I say this, 'cause I can't let this go because this bothers me. When the Tea Party has gatherings, they have people with Confederate flags and derogatory stuff toward President Obama, and they say, well, these people are not part of the Tea Party. But I think it was caught with the hand in the cookie jar the other day when Larry Klayman was speaking from the White House, and he was a invited speaker. He spoke before people of the House, and people spoke after him. When he told President Obama to get off your knees and put down the Quran and come out with your hands up, he also said that that President Obama wasn't a president of all people. That bothers me. And that's I know Fox News don't talk about it, but that's being sent around the world. It's being talked about all around the world. Other news stations talking about it, but you never hear Talk Radio or Fox News talk about it. I'd like your opinion on that.
What station is playing that?
Every station's playing it.
I haven't heard it. I listened to all of them. I haven't heard it once.
Larry Klayman. All you got to do is Google it. He told President Obama.
No, but you're saying it's a lead story on all news networks. I don't see it as a lead story on CNN. I don't see it as a lead story.
No. I didn't say the lead story.
Oh, okay.
I said they're talking about it.
Okay. All right. Well, you want to comment on that?
Well, I think that just kind of speaks to the bigger problem with the political system in this country as it is, especially when it's focused on the two-party dynamic, and that just leads to bitter partisanship and gridlock. The easy us versus them dichotomies that that is the operating paradigm that we live in. I've long been advocating that we need to renew the political conversation in this country, and I think the real political debate of any sort of substance would occur between the Green Party and the Libertarian Party. Really, if you took their party platforms and put them side by side, 80% of the nation's problems would be dealt with in some efficient fashion almost overnight if we could somehow replace every Democrat with a Green and every Republican with a Libertarian. And I'm not necessarily talking about the Tea Party libertarianism that's out there. There's strange things going on with all that. As with the Occupy movement, you really don't know who's behind these things. But as far as looking at political philosophies, I think the Democrats and the Republicans, as they describe themselves as liberal and conservative, actually have no logical consistency to their platform. You know, they're for one sort of government spending, but against the other. But there's no difference in my mind between institutionalized welfare and industrialized warfare.
I agree 150%. And one more thing, don't you think once this calms down and what people are saying and telling people what to do as far as throwing stuff in front of the White House, when this calms down, the next demonstration, and they follow behind this, shouldn't we stop this somewhere of people disrespecting the White House?
Well, I think what we need to do is just stop disrespecting each other. You know, just realize that, you know, it's not a matter of us versus them, red state, blue state, you know, whose state will lose face. That doesn't matter. What matters is what works. What do we want our country to look like? How do we want it to operate? How much voice do we want in our government? It's up to us to determine that. But the longer that we neglect it and the longer we let ourselves get distracted by these partisan battles, I think we lose ground as a nation of citizens. That our government is like any bureaucracy out there, any sort of corporation that, you know, without a proper check and balance, will become its own monster.
You know, it's something I talked about early this morning, how disappointing the end result was of this idiotic shutdown, which accomplished absolutely nothing. And not saying that I wanted to see people lose their jobs or lose money out of their paychecks or what have you, but it goes parallel along with the idea that we're spending way too much money, our debt is ridiculous, and it's like a play school playground. Like it
really is.
It
really is. It's, you know,
cafeteria
yes,
table
I am.
politics.
No, you're not.
It's
you know,
really
who gets
bad.
the last word, kind of thing.
You're so right.
This is my swing, not yours.
Well, and it goes back to a quote that Harry Reid had to say. He's like, you know, and I talked about this pretty much half the morning. Is that, you know, you don't do this kind of thing in this town, or we end the bottom. I'll paraphrase it. It's like basically said, if you don't do this kind of thing in our town, because we'll get you in the long run.
Yeah.
Well, who fails in that? They fail and we end up paying the price. That's the bottom line. All right, listen, we got to run. We got to take a quick break. Ian Thomas, Jen Ciappone in the studio. Hook Magazine. And we'll come back and talk to them about that real quick before we wrap it up. Hang on. All right, we're back. Real quick, we do have time for, if you don't mind, one quick phone call. Brian, we have to go very, very quick because we got to get out of here. Real quick, your point.
That's a good question, actually. I think a keen thing to pick up on is, while all the Obamacare and the shutdown and all that, what else is happening? Well, you know, we're not talking about the NSA anymore, are we?
Well, it's 18% of the economy, so we have to talk about Obamacare, and it affects everybody because, you know, everybody has sooner or later ends up in a hospital setting, and you know it's impossible to pay for some of that stuff. Brian, listen, we can pick that conversation up tomorrow. I'm sorry, I just want to give these guys a chance one more time. Tell us about the magazine.
All right, yeah.
40 seconds or less.
Hook Magazine, art, music, culture, commentary. We're coming out next week. The website will go live as well at the same time, Thursday, Friday. Next week. Hookmag.com. Send us an email at hookmagazine@gmail.com and let us know you're out there. We are listening.
All right. Well, listen, we wish you guys the best of luck with that, and I thank you for coming in. We'll do this again. It was a good conversation. Jen, thank you very much. Good to see you again. We're out of time. You guys have a great day. Special thanks again to the folks from the Angels, the big dog adoption event. I'll go to that on Sunday. Bruce Flax, Doc Foley, and Rick Costa. You guys have a great day. I'll see you.